Bad news. Good news, we had some wonderful singing time and wonderful testimony time. Bad news is I had about a 30-minute message written, which would take us to about 7:15. So after what I've been doing to you all on Sunday morning, I'm not going to press my luck and do that this evening. So I'm going to make sure we are out of here at 7 o'clock. So we're going to do something a little different. I just want to read. Let me make sure I get to the right verse here. Just going to read one verse to you, and we're going to just spend a little bit of time in prayer. Jeremiah 32 and verse 27. Very simple. Something we've been speaking on a lot lately is a growing faith. Is your faith growing? God takes trials and uses them for His purposes. We don't understand all that, how it all, that's not how we would design it. But God does take trials and use them for His purpose. If we're willing to seek God out in the trial and grow in a deeper understanding of who our God is, because that's when you get challenged. Is God good? Is He sovereign? Is He in control? And it's not always easy. We read this morning in Andy's class, we joined it with Andy, and he read a Psalm of David. And David often struggled with despair, discouragement. But yet he would circle back to finding his hope in the Lord. And gaining, I believe, a deeper relationship with God. And that's what can happen through trials. I've been through some trials. You've been through some trials. You go through those trials, and at the end of them, we find out, you know what? Okay, we can continue to trust God. We may have ups and downs in that. We might have some doubts along the ways. You may have answers along the way. But if you're willing to commit to getting answers, and that's why I say this, to have real faith, we got to have real answers, because we find them in the Bible, and all these other things that we get all concerned about just don't matter when someone's going through a trial. They need real answers. But Jeremiah 32:27 says this, "Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me?" Do we know our God? Secondly, do you believe who He says He is? That God can do anything. God is sovereign. But He's also good. He's holy. It means He doesn't even think evil. That He genuinely does love us. Do we understand the world that we live in, that it's a world under Satan's system? Do we understand what it means to walk a life of faith? Do we understand what it means that our hope is in the resurrection and not in this world? Do we understand those things? Folks are going through trials all the time. Believe me, they are. Lots of folks. Maybe you are here tonight. And what is most important is that we know our God. And so that's a huge part of what discipleship and counseling is, simply learning to, where's God in all of this that's going on? Where's God in when Iran's sending missiles into Israel? Where's God in that? Where's God when the election doesn't go our way and it seems like it should have went another way? Where was God in all that? Is God just missed out, or is He on the throne? Is He still sovereign? Is He still in control? Or are things out of control, or things chaotic? They're not. But do we know our God? How are we going to stay steadfast in a pagan world that wants to steer us away from the gospel, unless we learn to trust our God when things aren't going smoothly the way we want them to go? So I intended to preach tonight on Lot. And I guess I'll share the highlights of Lot. If you turn over to Genesis chapter 13, I'll just share the highlights with you because it piggybacks off of this morning's message. So Lot if you recall, he was a nephew to Abraham. But Lot's dad had passed away, and so his grandfather and his uncle Abraham took him under their wing, but eventually the grandfather died, so Abraham would be his mentor, his uncle. So Lot would follow Abraham and Abraham's wife. But there came a time where Abraham and Lot, they both had significant herds of livestock, and as they had left Egypt and returning to the land that had been promised, and they had a bit of a division or strife going on over the land, and that's in verse 8. And Abraham said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren. So Abraham says, you know what? We're brothers. Okay, I believe he's speaking spiritually speaking. Okay, it was uncle, nephew, but they're brothers in the Lord. Lot was a believer. Okay, but Lot had a problem though. Okay, remember how this morning I said that a strife is an indicator of spiritual immaturity? Well, there's strife going on here. Abraham's trying to resolve the problem and the strife, and so he comes up with a solution. He says to Lot, you know what, let's divide the land, and you get to pick first. But Lot's spirituality comes out, though. If you know the story of Lot, many of us here do. I'm not going to go through it because for the sake of time. But Lot was selfish. Lot was selfish. He was saved. He's going to heaven. But Lot was selfish. It was indicated in the decisions he made. So he looks around the land. You got this one bit of land here. You got this land over here. He saw the land that was good, and it was going to be good for his herd. It was boy, all right, I'm going to take that land. And he took that land. So Lot had a problem. He lacked faith for living. He lacked faith for living. He didn't live a life of faith. He was living by sight. Look at verse 9. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes. There it is, the lust of the eyes. And beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere. Of course, this land was next to Sodom and Gomorrah. And he was living according to what he saw. Folks, we can't live according to what we see. We need to live for the unseen things, the spiritual things. Lot was living according to his flesh. And if you know the story, Lot would cause not only suffering for himself, he would cause much suffering for his family. Lot was given many opportunities to turn back to a life of faith. Now compare Lot's decision compared to Abraham's. Abraham was willing to let Lot choose. That's a life of faith, right? That's a life of selflessness. That's being a servant of God above all, being sacrificial. But Lot was more than willing to go first and take advantage of it. He didn't say, oh, no, Abraham, you know what? You've done so much for me. I want you to know you take it. As opposed to Steve's story of waiting on the Lord, Lot took it. No, he had his own self-interest to serve. So Lot made sure his interests got taken care of. But his interest was about those things. So at the end of the day, Lot had to be rescued several times. God was still faithful to Lot, and I'm thankful for that. And I'm not, again, going to go through the story. But the New Testament tells us that Lot was bothered by what he saw when he was in Sodom in 2 Peter. He didn't like what he saw. How many like what you see in this world today? How many like what you see sometimes maybe in your family, maybe in different parts of life, and you don't like what you're seeing? But look at this. Verse 2 Peter 2:6. In turning the city of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly, and delivered just Lot, vexed with filthy conversation of the wicked. For that righteous man dwelleth among them, seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. Lot made a lot of bad decisions, okay? A lot of bad decisions. But he made a lot of decisions that he did not make, okay? He did not like what he was seeing, but he did not make any radical changes in his life. It vexed him, it bothered him. And I hear this a lot. This bothers me in this world. This bothers me. That bothers me. This bothers me. Where's the faithfulness, though, to God? How much are we love the world just as much? We may not be doing some of those wicked, evil things, but the world's got us just as much. But we're just content with where we're at spiritually and not willing to make radical changes to have an impact. I didn't intend to announce this, but we're putting together a group that's going to pray for 30 days, starting next month. We're going to go through a book together called, it's an outreach book, but we're going to commit to 30 days of prayer for lost people, for this nation, for our community. And then we're going to get it together at the end of that month, and we're going to talk about it. But how many would be willing to pray every day for 30 days? Folks, we can complain all day about the evils and all that kind of stuff. We can be vexed and don't like it. But don't be like Lot. Be willing to sacrifice, make a change, give up some time, do this, whatever it is that God is working in your heart to do. And if we're not doing that, we're just like Lot. So I'm pleading with us. We have a visitor come in here. Think about them. Okay, we had a few this morning. I know a lot of us folks do. We have your neighbors, your co-workers, your people you come into contact every day. I spoke with one of our members today, and she was telling me about handing out tracts. And she said, I had this fear of handing out tracts, but she's overcoming that fear. And she's going into a place that's not real friendly in handing out tracts. She goes, boy, I just can't get to where I could actually share the gospel yet. I'm like, you're doing it. You're handing out tracts. You know, we'll get to you'll grow in that. Folks, we can't live lives of fear. We've got to live lives of faith. So, Abraham lived by faith. Lot was living according to what he saw, the seen part. Folks, are we willing to live for the unseen? Are we willing to realize that God is coming again? That is the day. Trust me, that's the only day that matters, okay? Is that we're prepared for it, that we're living for it. So, we're going to close in prayer. So you only got a 15-minute message tonight. But as we leave here tonight, would you ask God to examine your heart? As we make decisions in this church, the decisions are focused on the mission of the church. Does it help us reach folks? Does it help us grow? Does it help us love others like God loves? And ask God where's my part in all that? Where's my part in all that? And then would you pray for God to use this church to be a steadfast gospel witness to our community? So I'm going to ask, I'm just going to ask Brian to close us in prayer, if you would. Amen. Well, thank you for coming tonight. Have a wonderful week in the Lord, and take time to encourage each other.